again.
Touch the eight this one. Eight is too hard. Run back.
That one, Brendan. You're doing that good. It's getting better. He's practice motion. That's good.
The funny thing was, I can drill like this and get alignment very good. In bodybuilding, people couldn't pose.
Yeah. I think that's narrower than your shoulders, and I think that makes it hard for you to get your ball forward enough in your stance. And if I've got my feet like this and I'm measuring the ball from here, then this is 0. If I'm measuring from here, then this is 0.
Okay.
Right. So I think your feet are close together, and because the ball is a little bit too much in the center,
Yep.
I think that makes you want to feel like coming down here and go like this to shallow.
Okay.
I also think that it makes the end of your backstroke feel like it wants to like tilt just a little bit,
Right.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
to hit that back ball. I think it's hard to complain. So, I mean, if anything, you're just a little bit ahead of the lever there with your weight.
Mm-hmm.
And here I see it looks like you're a little close with your shoulders from down the line view.
Okay.
Right, and you see your arms are a little bit behind your arms are a little bit behind your
Right.
leg there. So what I think is that if your ball was forward, you'd be able to tilt just a little bit more at the top, which would help your arms straighten out a little bit more in front of you, as opposed to being your ball back, being a little bit too tilted.
Right.
Too tilted.
I understand.
And then coming down, the turn from the tilted over position has got your club back behind you too much. Your primary lever is a little bit too much behind the extension.
So I mean, they're gonna get a little push.
You're
or
going to kind of
pull
shove
draw.
them out too much or
Yeah.
pull draw.
Yep.
So
Sounds about right.
move the ball this much forward. Keep your tilt, keep your extension this much longer at the top to help loosen up the 4 and the 1 a little bit down in front and straighten up the pad.
Sounds good.
Do you understand the 4 and the 1?
Yeah. I mean.
1 is the right arm,
Yep.
and the 4 is the left
So,
arm coming away.
Yep. So what I'm saying is there's just a touch of, if you bring this move backwards, just a touch of this. And then that's keeping your hands a little too close and you'll touch just a touch too close. Okay? And if your left shoulder's down more at P5, right? Because you were more centered at the top and because form, go to the top, please.
On this.
Your shoulders were a little more centered at the top as opposed to being this way, just a hair. Okay? 4 and 1 would come out a little bit faster, like that. Okay? Which would line the shaft up a little bit better at 6.
Versus just a little underneath.
Correct. So I think that what happens is you're tilted just a touch. 4 and 1's a little bit slow. When you come down to 6, your hips are extending, turning a little bit too much, and your arms are a little bit too far behind you.
Right.
So from the front view, front view, look at this way. It's a little bit too slow. And that makes your arms like it's too far behind you. I mean, it's not that you can't hit good shots from there. I would just say the pattern's a little wide. And
Exactly. The cone's gonna be a little bit.
So ball forward a little bit and then tilt just to straighten the pad out a little bit.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think it's really nice.
Thank you. And he's
The main club he struggles with is the driver.
Yeah.
Hits his irons really
Yeah,
good. The driver sometimes gets
a little pushy.
off the.
Yeah,
Yes, and
pushy or
he's had recently. There's been some that have been flaring,
Yeah,
a couple out of play, but
yeah.
much better than it was.
he's put in a lot of work with him, and
It
really
shows.
grateful for.
It shows. It's good. I'd hit a lot off the line too. I'd get a big
Yeah.
long rope so you can train your eyes.
Okay.
Really good to see the,
Yep.
be able to aim good.
The biggest thing Brian said, he's like, number one, he's like, you need to get your alignment better.
Yeah.
My alignment was a little off the
Yeah.
other day. He said it looked a little open with the feet, a little closed with
Right.
the shoulder.
Right.
So he's like,
That's
that's.
kind of what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd get a big long rope
Okay.
and I'd just walk in and out of it. A pile of balls over here and a pile of balls over here. Hit without it, and then hit on it, and walk away from it, hit
Okay.
it without it. So you
Good
can
idea.
learn to project that target.
That sounds cool. That's.
Okay. And then, you know, if you want to get that long rope and then put the result of the path,
Mm.
you know, the descent 2 to 3 degrees to the right, put the descent 3 degrees to the right.
Mm-hmm.
Out there, you know, as long as the end of the range, you start to see your cone. And I think that'd be really good training for when
Yeah.
you get out on the course. People talk about visualization. What are you visualizing?
Right.
Right? I mean, when I'm sitting up, I'm burning that line in the ground, coming up here and finding that line to orient myself off of.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that'd be good.
Yeah. He'll do it. He's
I
really
did
detailed in
That's
that
what
stuff.
I did.
That's good.
Aaron, Mike, Aaron practiced off the line for 3 years every day.
Wow.
Because and Mike was, I had to make Mike do it.
Yeah.
He was terrible.
Yeah. That's. Yeah, I'll do that right away.
Yeah. Get a big long one too. Get one 30, 40 yards long. Two
Okay.
30, 40 yards long might cost you $30, $40 or $20 or
Yeah,
whatever.
it doesn't matter. Make you more at the end.
Yeah, you want to get the, so 2 of them, one for the target line and one for the cone at the angle in the center.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
See you man. Or
Okay.
yeah, Austin.
Go this way. Let's start going like that.
Is that?
Yeah, that's perfect.
All right.
Yeah.
Good.
Grip, turn and cut grip, and that's going to demand your wrists work a certain way. I'm not suggesting that the grip is a quote fundamental, but
Certain parameters you have to work with them.
right. So I'm making an observation that there's a lot of dorsiflex in your grip, and your right hand grip is also turned under the club. So both hands are turned quite a bit to the right. I'm also making I see that how high your head is. In other words, I think I'm going to look closer from your neck, but I have a suspicion that your neck tilts. So I have grip rotated, left hand grip rotated, and dorsiflex. And then the neck tilt, the forward neck tilt, or what Mac would call the first neck tilt,
How many AMM numbers if you want?
too high. I might have a look at them, actually, just to go over them with you, but I won't need them.
Gotcha.
One thing about it is I like the AMM numbers, and I hate to be so bold as to say I already kind of know,
What you do.
you know, but so sometimes there might be I want to use those as a reference, just, but we know what we want,
Right, right,
and the value, like I said yesterday, the actual number on some of those is relative to who, you know, like you're 5'8" or 9.
right. I really appreciate
Okay,
that.
well, whatever. 5'7", 5'7". I'm 6'2". You're 5'5", I'm 6'2". That's not the way it usually is, right? Some people.
Right, you get right with it. Everybody's 6'2" in
In their own mind, right? Hey, Henrik, how are you? Have a seat. Hey, Berger, how are you?
Good.
Great seeing you. We're
Yeah,
just
you
getting
too.
started here. I told him that he had his left-hand grip. I was making an observation that it was turned and dorsiflexed. His right-hand grip was turned, and I was just talking about his neck tilt, about how his first neck tilt, Mac would call first neck tilt forward tilt, and a second neck tilt side tilt. And sometimes I would still use that way of explaining it. I think it's a good way. I would just say, I'm noticing how much of his face I see there. I was going to plot a line here on the shoulder, left shoulder, and you know that shoulder's supposed to go downward and inward. I'm going to draw this about 34. It'd be about the angle of your tilt from the back view, your inclination. Do the same here, Grant. Now I'm going to draw a line across his hips, which represents, in my mind, 2 dots on each joint.
Yeah.
And if I really take the time, a lot of times I'll put dots on all the joints. Okay. And then just to set up the, a little more depth, because we do have the time. You know, the arm is, the shoulder is the center, and the arm and shaft form a radius. Right.
George tried to have me with my knees up like Keegan's.
Right, that's a good point. I'll get there, but yes. The target, then if I drew the target line, like this, I'm trying to help people learn how to draw the address plane line. So the ball, we got a circle here on the ball, like this. Grant's got this ball, say this is 0, this would be like B1. Not to be a drawing with this tool. The pencil is going to be a little bit crude, but this is about B4, it looks like. B3. Right. So on our grid, right?
So 0.8 times 4.
Okay. That's. Don't take that quite literally. Okay. That's an estimate.
0.8?
0.8. Yeah. And if someone asks what the ball position is,
That's something for your mind, just to have in mind.
right.
Yeah, so
Right.
4 balls back 3.2.
Yeah,
That's
something
what I was
like
getting
that. Right. It's not quite math. It could be figured. Yet I've just scratched the surface on measuring it.
That's the path.
Pardon me. Yeah, the path.
Path.
So the point is that you've got the ball on B4. I just
Grant has it on before.
Yeah, Grant has it on B4, right? B4,
Yeah.
right?
B stands for ball.
Okay, right. Or back. No, central back.
Oh.
Back 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you can have it on U up 1, up 2, up 3.
I love playing it up,
Okay, well.
but that's just.
So I'm just setting up a way to start to explain the address plane line.
Gotcha.
So by putting the ball back 4, there's an angle here that's created,
Yeah.
right here, that traced onto the ground is an angle of descent vector outward that forms the address plane line. Okay, so the horizontal plane, or the direction, okay, this is your feet line, okay, and this target line, if his stance is square, this is like the baseline of the horizontal plane right here. And someone asked me yesterday, I think it was Keith Jarvis, if the baseline of the horizontal plane was the address plane. I said, no, that's the whole reason for drawing this diagram, is to understand how placing the ball behind the center moves the address plane line. The only time the address plane line would be really the same as the horizontal plane is if the ball was on 0 and the butt of the club and the radius were straight in line, vertical to the ground. Okay. And that's really what come out of track, and that's really, while we're on that, the basis for the push draw. Or aiming to the left to hit the ball straight and hitting it at the target. Right? In other words, people ask us, why do you always teach a push draw? Well, we teach people to swing basically straight, a little bit to the right with the driver, but straight
you saw the DVD, our teaching is basically straight or biased a slight bit to the right, never across. I don't teach people to swing across for obvious reasons. But but by having this angle of descent, you've got a vector here, like this, okay, here being the target, that you have to accommodate for in your swing. So that forms the outside cone of any ball flight that we would teach. In other words, that would be the straight push. So in no shot that we preach would the face ever be open to the path. It would always be close to the resultant path or address plane line. So I'll call this address plane line / resultant path. Okay. To your point about the knees, your knees should be turned out more. Okay, this right knee's turned in too much. Now,
What will that do?
that'll help his hips to turn
Okay.
and his leg to straighten more.
More that way?
Yep, it's about 15, 20 degrees, it's quite a bit.
Yeah.
So turn rotate the feet. So if you swing back, like if you just swing back to the top, turn your knee in like at 0 degrees. Turn your right knee in for a second at 0 degrees. Now swing back to the top. You see how the knee joint's rotating on the backswing? See how it's like facing this way now?
Yeah.
Okay. You're setting this knee joint up in the pre-rotated position. Actually takes some strain off of it too.
Okay.
Because it's actually, in your case, like twisting like this too
Mhm.
much. So, and it's kind of the same principle as the left ankle being turned out on the through swing. But, so that it's not like twisting. How many people's feet do you see left foot going
Sure.
like that through the ball? I mean, you look at the tour, nearly every player on the tour's foot is
has.
turned. Right. Right, they're all turned that
Yeah.
way. And then you have people trying to build their teaching philosophy on, I go to the force plate guy and they say, look, all these guys go like this. Yeah, they all have their foot too square to begin with, right?
What do you preach? It's 10-30? 30 for the left, 10 for the right?
I've never done it that way.
30 degrees?
10. Yeah, that'd be about
10
right.
degrees right?
Yeah, a little bit, even a little bit more on the right than 10. I would teach it about
20?
almost the same.
20, 30?
Almost the same.
Almost the same.
20.
Okay.
You see how much Grants is out?
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to make sure you understood the ball position grid, and then there's also a grid here for the butt of the club, right, which I drew yesterday, right, which this would be up, up 1, up 3, and then moving it back, it would be B1, B2, B3, etc. Okay, so you got a handle position grid and a ball position grid, and this is forming your basis for setting up your intentions for your shot, is where that handle is and where that leading edge is. Okay, so right knee, right foot a little bit, neck tilt. Okay, and then I think ultimately there'll be a slight grip adjustment on this. I'm not saying that you would have to do that, but I think in the long term you would want to. Okay.
We'll get this in here. Got 2 of them. Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, now, you want to be two.
Can I help you out in some way?
I'm gonna go ahead and open. You want to be two. With shafts parallel to the ground.
or you can move it.
Okay,
You want to
so
move it over there? Yeah, it's okay.
right off the bat here, there's not enough extension. The butt of the club.
If you want to pull over this way.
Arc is too wide. There's translation here. Right off the ball. You look at Grant here, his neck is rotating a little bit, but Grant's shoulder goes down a little bit more, and you can see in his, like in the placket in his shirt, how it's more extended this way to keep his head still. Want to go through that again? What's your head? Back and down. Right? Stable axis. So I can see right off the bat that you're staying in the forward flex, and I can already see it in your hips too, that this hip is too high, and that it's actually staying in its forward flex. I'm not going to mark it and print it until another frame, but I will print it. I just want you to notice, understand that I already noticed that you're not extending enough while you turn, and not left tilting enough, and because of that, your head's moving back and down like P1 to P2 right off the ball.
So that's where I need to address it versus later.
Right. Now, moving, not extending and side tilting or turning, you're going to see it's ultimately going to be too level to the ground. It's going to be making you swing out to the right too far. Okay. We go on to 3 here. Just happened to
Sorry for the cramped space.
Right now, you go to 3 here, and you see the same thing that we really already discussed. First, if I were to just go back to your shoulder here. Your shoulder, the axis or the hub, let me go back and look at it. The hub, okay, it's translating to the right. Right, and down, and you see in Grant's case again, the hub is stable. Your shoulders are you'll see from the down the line view, you can probably already start to tell we're turning too level to the ground. Also, you'll see from this view the difference in the club face angle here. Okay, and that's what I was talking about with the grip, about how you have this Dorsey grip like this, double action grip, if you will. But there's a flexion. Remember this grip charts yesterday about how when the grip goes from palmar or from 20-40 flex to flat, there's got to be some way or some turning, some way of accommodating the face to keep it from being closed too much. So what I'm saying is by changing that angle like that, it's closing the face to the arc. So the backstroke plane, when you're swinging back, you set up with this draw alignment, right? Set it up pretty well. You set up like this, right?
And then it goes downhill from there.
Well, now, so by the time you're swinging back, I'll do this better from down the line, but what's happening is the address plane is shifting to the right, okay, and the face angle is shifting to the left, okay, so it's setting up like a pull hook alignment. Go on to the top, you can really see the lack of extension here, and that the head went back and down. You see Grant extending, tilting and turning, you see the stable axis. Okay, so this is probably a good place to print this. So if I draw this line on Grant's left hip to his right hip, like that, you see how, if anything, that thing is like 3 or 4 degrees do the same here, just using the belt as a reference. This one's down like 8 degrees. That's the side bend. We need more side bend to raise the right hip up. Okay, and you need more extension, obviously, to keep pushing this.
Do you think that has something to do with the neck not being?
No doubt, your neck is too high, your shoulders turning too level, but the extension is all the way down in your body into the, even the lumbar.
Yeah.
So, this one. Now, also, you also see that club face there, right? You see the wrist and the face there. And that's going to demand a certain kind of hinging coming through the wall to keep from hooking.
Yeah, I can just do that to try to make sure.
So, before here. Before I said that you needed more extension, right, in the pelvis and thorax and neck, and you needed more side bend in the pelvis, thorax, neck. Okay, and that both of those together will stabilize the axis. So this thing when it was moving back, your head, okay, was moving back and down. And this was going this way, right? So come here to 5. If anything, you see Grant goes forward on this swing.
Yeah.
Okay. And you notice here at 5 what the location of the shoulder is to the grid. In other words, to the ball position grid.
The left shoulder.
Yeah. So here's the ankle, right? And you see how the center, the center that was established at the setup right here, right? His shoulder right here is P5 is just in front of the center where it started. Your shoulder is behind where it started. Okay, so you have this translation back, and you have the center. As we get this tilt straightened out, this left shoulder, I'm making the point's going to be more forward to where it's lined up over the center of P5. Okay.
A few things we worked on this summer was to get this guy going that way on the downside.
Right.
And this left knee to go outside the left ankle.
Go where?
The left knee outside the left ankle.
More forward.
Yeah.
If I come down to 6, the person, your accumulators here, like we were talking about yesterday in the pictures, are a little bit too jammed up. In other words, if I take the 4, here, 5.5, right, I got the 4 right here, right? I got the 1.
He's got space.
Yeah, right there, alright. And I got the 2.
The space between the shaft and the right arm right now, 1. Is that basically a good representation of sweetness of angle of attack numbers?
Hold on, the what?
The fact that he's got a lot more space there than I do. This between the shaft and the right shoulder.
Yeah.
Shaft and right shoulder is a lot narrower.
Yeah.
That would be steeper than that.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
There's a lot more to it. than
Okay.
that. Matter of fact, I would say that Grant's could be quite a bit shallower than yours.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm thinking
Or-
he's like 2 and I'm 8.
Well, it could be, but it also could be quite a bit steeper.
Hmm.
Okay, because what I'm
It's
saying
not
is-
over yet.
Right.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that too is that his horizontal plane is going to be straighter than yours,
Mhm.
which is going to help him like get down more, as opposed to you're going to be inside. Like it's going to be going up more with the butt of the club through the ball, so you'll be swinging out and up.
Yeah, so that's why I don't understand why I get such high angle of attack numbers. If I'm going out, I'm going up
Well,
because I'm
you're
so
4
wide.
inches lower right now. Okay, in other words, you're going down like this. Okay.
I guess.
I mean, if I'm extending coming through the ball, that's my point is that there's a lot of variables on the angle of
I see.
attack number. In other words, people say, this has bothered me. They say you can't compute angle of attack in a 2D picture, and I've concluded that they're right. I've been trying. Okay, I haven't been able to do it yet. I'd like to be able to draw out angle attack. I'd like to prove that wrong, but I can't do it yet. I'm trying. You can see I'm building the basis of trying because I'm going to start measuring the rise of the club. I can measure the degree of rise of the butt of the club. I can measure the lean of the shaft. I can start to make some mathematical equation there to compute how the rise is taking off some of the descent.
Yeah.
Then the problem I have is that the golfer may have went down 3 or 4 inches.
The whole thing.
Right, now I've got like a three variable equation so it's starting to get unwieldy.
Yeah, 90. Yeah.
Okay. So,
You jumped from 9 variables to 27.
right.
Hmm.
And we haven't really completely thought it through yet either.
Probably goes to another month next time.
Right. Now, so I was just going to draw the accumulators on there to help you see that your one, the blue is not released enough, and the one. Okay. Here's the right shoulder. I'd say it's like right there. It looks
Mhm.
like right. The one is too bent, and that's got the distance from the butt of the club to the shoulder. The third side of the triangle, in other words, is too narrow.
Mhm.
I would draw that. Yeah, like that. Okay. Now that's the part of, again, one of the reasons why you don't want to translate the axis back, is it starts making you, if you don't move it forward, then you end up with this, you're always jammed up through the ball, which is, shifting the plane, et cetera, et cetera. So there's been a number of guys like Mike. This is how Mike Weir's picture was. This is how Brad's picture was. This is how Steve Elkington's picture was coming down. It's all had the same pattern we do with the flag too. So what I'm saying is that you've moved back on the backstroke. Then you've done the hip slide coming down without moving forward. That's left you too tilted. And being too tilted has jammed up the sequence. Your right shoulder's too low. So your arms are too close to the shoulder. This is centered up, then we'll get the third side of the triangle to be wider coming down, which is going to help straighten the angle of attack, or the angle of approach.
Yep.
Got that. Bring this down to 6. Short arc downstroke. Downstroke arc looks nice. But you can see the obvious problem. Your shoulders are too tilted here. Right. 6. Shoulder here's tilted about 20 degrees. model says 10. Okay, printout would say 10 there. So, but that's a good spectrum for you. You can see how Grant's actually forward, how wide how 4, how the 4 is released more, but really how the 1.
There's no jam.
Right, correct. That, and this one. So the 4 is actually jammed a little, right? There. The 1 is jammed, right?
Yep.
And then, of course, the head, the center, the hub, location of the hub to the grid is on like B6.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Location of the hub here. Okay.
Yeah.
Get behind the ball. I would just make the point here too that I want to hit a draw. Grant's is just a skosh forward in this one. What I mean by that is the center on this one with the setup is right here. And his shoulder went forward and downward just a little.
Yeah, bro.
So that he actually did the opposite as you. Okay, so his center's forward and his accumulators are are emptying.
Yeah.
Okay. This center's back more, your third side of the triangle shorter.
You're speaking about Ledbetter, and I remember him telling Fred Funk on putting, he needed to move the ball back, so he caught it before he flipped it, and he couldn't aim the thing.
Really?
So now, when you hit the ball, your right forearm from the back view is going to be too low. Okay. In other words, the path's going to be out too far. Brendan, I got some paper in the car.
Figure it out. I can run out there and grab it for you.
Well, how about I just use this and give you what I have.
Well, don't worry about it.
Use it.
No. Sorry.
It's alright. I like it.
I don't know where that came from.
Got a ringtone?
No. I don't know where that came from.
I like it. I like
It's good too, I mean, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I have no idea where it came from.
So now coming back, you can see the forward motion of your shoulder. Your right, there's not much forward motion in your right shoulder. It's going down. It's like stop.
Yeah.
Alright. You're too tilted. The weight's too far back. And I said that when the right arm was parallel to the ground, P9, right? That you see how the shoulders here turn about 90 degrees, maybe even about, grants are actually about 82, right? I'll draw a 90 there. Reference.
If you hit the shift button, it'll automatically straighten the line.
Okay.
I want to be able to drive straight
Okay.
at 90s.
Oh, okay, cool. So here the shoulders are too close, right? The axis is too far back. And center is too far back in other words.
When are you meeting with software guys to have all these points plotted where you can?
No kidding. I know, and we're pretty close to doing that
Really?
actually.
That would be amazing.
They've asked to do it. They volunteered to do it. Mike and I just haven't had the time. I'd like
Yeah.
so you can see your hips are actually even a little bit too close too.
George's been trying to get my belt line to tilt higher for impact. To raise my lift.
I think you're actually extending pretty good coming through. I just think you're too far back.
Instead of attacking from here, you want me a little more on top of it and forward.
Far back. Right, see how you see the difference there? How back you are. Right, so the shoulder, right, the knee to the shoulder is back there, say 9 degrees. It's forward.
30.
It's almost vertical, right? The
It's
reference we always used was vertical there. Okay.
Yeah. I should think of that.
I'm gonna give you a lot of pictures. So, but this first bit is the most printing we'll do because I'm just laying out helping you have the positions to trace by. Okay, now, so you can see here on the finish that's just too far back with the upper axis, a little overturned actually now with the hips. So they were too closed, and then it just whirls around much. Trying to get caught up. Down the line.
Make sure I'm wearing that shirt.
Now, on the setup here, let's draw this one first. You can really see in the beginning that your neck is too vertical, right? Too straight. It needs to flex down more.
Just tuck my chin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, in other words, your neck is almost like, if I go straight from, just start right here and I'll draw a line, straight line like that. You can see from his thoracic, right, to his, like his cervical, that that's not, that's a tilt, okay? Something like this, right? And then say the cervical, right, is also tilted, because it's not a straight line, right? In other words, this is not, that's not straight either, right? So it's bent from there, more like that. So his head is actually right here, right? More like that, right? So there's 3 tilts there in all 3 regions. It's too straight. Look how far his head is from the. So lower.
Lower shoot the people who told me this was rounded.
I was gonna say, many would probably say that's good posture. Or needs to be even more that way.
Yeah, I've been told I'm too bent over.
Yeah, that's a TPI deal. I'm trying to find that picture too. They're trying to gather all those up before anybody finds them.
What picture? What picture are you looking for?
Well, the ones from their old manuals where they had people going like this, the original manual where they had people's head like that. So I'm marking the height of the butt of the club. I'm gonna go back and color code these forms because I know that it'll help you in with your binder. There's the black. Here's the orange. And this is the blue. Like that. Alright, now.
So shoulder, elbow, hand, shaft.
Yep. And then if I just put a box here, on your head, like this. And I draw a grant, say a shoulder plane here. And then I said yesterday I didn't draw the lines. Here's the say this is the hub,
Mm-hmm.
right? Right, and down the line.
Yep.
Should draw that line a little higher. Okay. Now I've got the hub right here, the axis. Like that. And then I could also draw this lower center. This. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Come down and go back. You can see the hand pad. It's tracing properly. So it'll go through the reference areas, through the belt. It starts to lift up a little bit too much right here. Yeah. Now, so what you see here is if I draw Grant, the same thing. Sorry. Might as well take the time to do it. Okay. Now, Grant's shaft plane, P2, is in less than yours, right?
Mm-hmm.
And where's his club? This, right? Yours is cutting a shallower arc, like that. First thing I would say is that your shoulder turning plane is too level to the ground. Okay, that's making a wider 3 right off the bat. It's gonna be well, it's making
Pressure.
roll power.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Oh, that's pretty much right on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right there. Right. Draw that. Well,
It's no accident why he's as good a ball striker as he is. It's not luck, it's not
No,
timing, it's...
no, there's no accident. That's a fact.
Whereas almost like me hitting a good shot is an accident.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that, but I would say that there's a very defined pattern to what you do. Okay. I'd say it's no accident that you push.
Would you adjust Grant's P2 at all? Having
Yeah.
the club head inside the hands, is that more than you would?
Just the
Prescribe.
slightest, but I like it to be inside the hands.
Yeah.
If you were asking me to be really picky, I'd say, oh, no, just inside the hands and no shaft.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say that he could have just a little bit more
Yeah.
loading there of the two.
And how significant a conical change would that make in the fall like?
I think it would help him a touch, but you know, if he's not familiar with it, if he's not as good at doing that as he is at this motor program, if it takes him too long to do that little piece, it may not be worth it at this stage. So we go to the top here, and what you see here is you see the flat left wrist and the closed club face.
in Grant, whereas mine's a little above.
Yep, and you'll also see how your right arm is too bent. Like, see how it's too
Guys
bent?
know.
Right, and again, you're turning too level to the ground like this, translating back from the front view, away from the target. I just make the point that if you straighten your arms out like that, the center of gravity of your body would be
Too
way back here. You'd like fall over.
I can extend, so I'm kind of balancing.
That's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point. Is that if you ever want someone to get their right arm to straighten out, you move their head this way. They can get all the extensor action they want.
But without
Right.
this, you'll never get that.
Right, we never did. I did it for years and years. I used to go out with, I have a ruler, yardstick taped to my arm, tape like this. It hurt like hell with the hair on my arm. I did it for days and days and days and days. Just thing, I'd swing back and you go like that, because I was swinging like this. My right arm, I had this big cone that went there that only let it flex
The right
this way.
angle, let it
Right,
flex.
I had this thing wrap it around there. This thing would go like that when I was hitting. Of course, I'm going. Mike Bender's teaching me over there at Timaquan. I'm going like this.
So I was gonna ask you, there seems to be a link between translating axis and overflexion of.
There's a direct link.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that yesterday because we were seeing the same.
Yeah.
I mean, and I see that in my teaching too. Everyone that's translating is
Yeah.
almost to a person.
It's part of the reason why you don't translate.
Right.
Right? Yeah, so totally.
You filming this whole thing? Can you put this on YouTube for me? And look it
I'll,
oh, private?
Yeah,
Or somehow.
I've got a friend that can burn it to disc, so I can send. I'll get your. I'll send it to you.
Do that, do that. So the right arm's over flexing, the left wrist, right arm's over flexing, and the left wrist has changed angles from cup. This is flexed too much, and this is this way too much.
Totally.
Dorsey to palmar.
So that's a huge variable. Like you were talking about in the Brian Gay graph, where he's just
Right, right. Those graphs are great, aren't they? Those wrist ones. Now, so there's quite a bit of overflexing there. Quite a bit starting to lift up. So this is starting to lift up right here. The result of that is your arm has gotten up on the turned shoulder plane here. I mean the square shoulder plane. That's the blue line. Okay. So now you're coming down at 5 with your arm parallel to the ground. This looks like my swing. Right, translate it back. I actually just stayed in flexion like this, bent my arms, that lifted them up too much like this, and put me right into a shoulder throw out on the baseline, P5. You wonder why I hate so much being out P5. I lived that one. Okay, I had the same grip that Mac taught me. Did the same wrist action to the top of the closed club face.
brother.
I had Mike Bender teaching me to retain the forward tilt like this. I had
Intentionally.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Power V, right?
Oh,
Okay.
I remember.
Like this, because he thought, and Mac too, really. I mean Mac,
Yeah.
right? Like this. Mac never directly taught it to me as
No.
much as Mike.
Very well done.
Okay. But you see that
Yeah,
E3 picture in
There's a
that?
V definitely.
See the 3?
Yeah.
Now look at the 4 and see how he left tilted from the 3 to the 4.
Mhm.
The 4 looks pretty good there.
Sure.
But the 3, you can see that if he's got some extension to do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, and frankly, I think that's like the best swing I've ever seen.
It is. That's the least amount of that at 3 that I've seen.
Correct.
Just
Which
as
is
a-
why I
more.
think it's the best.
As an aside,
Yes.
Creeking's kind of
Yeah.
veering a little bit
Yeah.
that way. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's Mac. And Mac look.
I'm glad you said that because I want
Yeah.
to clear that up with Brian because
What
Brian.
did you say? I'm sorry.
There's a mutual friend who's a very sharp young teacher who's very versed in the Morad. And
Well, he came
Putting a
to
little
take
bit of that
lessons
in
from
there.
me as a 14-year-old kid. Okay, and he got a lot better. He grew to love this. okay, at a very young age. And along the way, he wanted to go learn from Mac, which I appreciate. I get that. I did the same thing. I recommended it. Yeah, I think that'd be great. So he goes to learn, he goes to listen to Mac talk, and then all of a sudden his teaching starts going like in this direction, and I just would like to tell him that I've been there. You know, and not just tell him that, I'd like to show him that, because he's too smart to just copy Mac, right? Because I've been there. That's what I was doing.
What's his name?
Brian Cregan. He might be out today. He's a good friend of mine. I'm not saying that in a mean
No,
way.
no,
Yeah, I don't
No,
mean to sound
No,
that.
not at all.
But these were taken, a young guy gave me this recently, and you can see it.
Frankly, that's the ones I have,
Over at
Brendan,
the top. Yeah,
are a lot more than that.
yeah.
Mac was.
They're not great pictures,
So you lifted your arms up because you were in flexion on your back stroke, right? So you lifted them up.
Yep.
The result of that was that brought you out at too far at P5.
Now, in the golf machine, when they have the wrist stroke in the top, when I have applied that in the back,
Yeah.
the wrist, something, the wrist.
Yeah, you don't need to do that.
Okay.
Scrap that.
Got it.
So in this picture, there's a couple of things. Your arm is out too far. We know from the front your center is back too far, and we know that your right arm is too flexed. Do you follow that, Henry?
Mm-hmm.
So now coming down, hands are on the shoulder plane. Here goes the shaft, right? Now, there's a fair amount of similarity here in the arm and the wristband and the shaft to the shaft, right? Problem is that the wrist angle, okay, you're in Palmer, which is going to start closing the space, but you have the forearm too bent, which has got your arms out too high. Okay, so let's watch and see what happens to the angle of the shaft coming from the ball and the path from here on. Okay. Because my picture looked just like this. My arm was always out too far, like that. Okay, you see how Grant's is nearly vertical, right? Like this. So this golfer's in a bind here, with his arm out that far. It's actually tracing the turn shoulder, the elbow. And then on the through swing, see how it's all the way out on the square shoulder for the blue. Right?
So I started under the red,
Yeah.
and then shifted to the blue.
Yes. You see how this one goes more back, the hands I'm looking at, okay? See how they're back on the orange there, okay? You see how out this is, how out and up that handle is. So if you were just standing there at like P8 and you wanted to show a high handle, the handle being forward and upward, it would look like this. Follow me?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is you're hitting the ball with the handle too forward, upward like that, which is the pushing component. Your hands are going out, wrists are going like this much through the ball.
Well, I taught for 10 years to on top of the thumbs down like this. It's hard.
Yeah. Well, you're doing it. So the push component, you can see the push component here. We'll see it even more, maybe even easier for you to measure coming through on the way where the club exits. where the hands exit. This is what was apparent to me when we came out, was how high the hands exit on the follow through. And you see how Grant's exit more, say mid-humerus, right? And you see how this thing's up at the, over the shoulder. You can also tell from here how Grant's hips have turned like 90 degrees. His spine is now in extension, right? Like that. Well, your pelvis is not turned as much. It's extended, but it isn't turned as much. You see the space between your knees there? Hey, remember the thing we did on the thing yesterday? That shouldn't be there. So you're going arms out like this and going like that, coming through the ball. It's really a result. It really is already in there, you know, on the backswing and then the lift. You can see then on the finish, just knock all this out, I'll just leave it on my board. You see the left humerus is level to the ground, right? Like that. You see how high this one is? That's what I mean by your arms being thrown off your body like that. So that on your finish, that left humerus should be level to the ground like this. It wouldn't be lifted up.
That's the whole.
The swing shirt.
Gerard's had, the first drill he showed me was 2 T's under the